This is the first time I've ever told any of my 3 kids that their mother was unfaithful, and it was not something I ever intended to share with them, especially now that their mother has passed. But in that moment, it seemed like it needed to be said. Partly I felt this way because my therapist and I have been talking a lot lately about truth and the dangers of holding my truth inside. She didn't tell me I had to tell my kids, but she did say I would probably struggle to move on and gain closure as long as I had to keep pretending like my marriage was a happy one. It would be years of having to keep up the facade, which would only keep that wound raw. She was right about that. Even though my daughter is upset, I do feel better now that I can finally stop pretending like my marriage was anything more than a sham and loveless for the most part. The other factor which led me to tell my daughter was one of her comments about my marriage, but more so, one comment she made about our parenting. She didn't say she loved her mother more than me, or that I was a bad father to her, but she did say in her own way that she thinks her mom made more sacrifices for our family and the kids than I did, which is why she admires her so much. It's the first time she has ever said anything like this to me, and I would be lying if I said it wasn't devastating to hear that. It's true that I was not able to be as present as my wife at all times, since for parts of my marriage, I was the sole provider and had to work late. But I attended nearly every event, game, recital, and special event my kids had. It was even more hurtful because at one point, our wife was planning to leave me and our kids to start a new life with her affair partner, while I would never have even given a thought to do something like that. It wasn't even a brief thought of hers. She had already made plans to do it, but changed her mind at the last minute. When I told my version of events to my daughter, she became very angry, which I understand. She told me I should never have told her this, and I was selfish for not keeping this to myself. She hates me for ruining the image she had of her mother and her memories of her, and she told me to not even think about telling her siblings. If I do, she says she is done with me. It is hard for me to not be frustrated with my daughter because her immediate response was to defend her mother and blame me for not going to my grave with this secret, even if it meant many more years of pain. I'm not sure if I will tell my other kids or not. Am I the a-hole like my daughter says? Would I be the a-hole if I told my other kids the same thing I told my daughter? Not the a-hole. The truth hurts, but often it can be freeing. For you it is. It sucks that this ideal image she had of her mother is gone. I am a daughter who lost a mother and found out a lot about my mom after she died that I wish I didn't, because the person I would talk to about it was dead. However, years later, I was able to appreciate that while my mother was a good mom, she was her own human being, and it didn't stop because she was my mother. I got to learn more about her and meet friends of hers I didn't know existed. It was a hard journey that changed how I viewed life because everything I thought I knew was turned on its head. But I grew into who I am today, and while I'm not perfect, I can stand to look at myself in the mirror and be happy with who looks back, and I feel pretty good about that. I don't know who's the a-hole, but it sounds like you told your daughter this mainly because you were hurt she picked her mom over you, not because you wanted to open up to her and further her healing journey. I could be wrong, though. My fiancé, 37 male, and I, 33 female, got engaged a few months ago. We're getting married soon, and invitations were already sent out. Right now, we're focusing on much smaller details. We've also been busy moving into our new home that we purchased together, 30% of his savings plus 70% of mine. I have to say that saving up for this house took most of my savings and prevented me from enjoying the things I love spending money on. My fiancé sat me down yesterday to talk about his groom speech. He talked about a few points, but what made me upset was when he asked if I would be okay if he mentions the house we bought and say that he was the one who bought it. I was a bit taken aback. I asked why, and he said it's just a confidence boost during the speech, and that's it. I said I didn't feel comfortable with the idea, because I think it's unfair not to acknowledge the fact that I'd sacrificed so much to be able to buy the house. I reminded him of how much I contributed, but he said this doesn't change that it's our house, so it shouldn't matter to me if he said he bought it himself, or we both did. I refused because then people will always think the house was bought by him, which is something that will never change, no matter how hard I try to prove that I contributed 70%. We got into an argument and he started yelling, saying it's just one favor he's asking me to do, and yet I'm making this ridiculous small request my hill to die on. He's basically sulking now, and he's out and refusing to answer my calls. So basically, he started the silent treatment till I cave in. Am I the a-hole for making this my hill to die on? He's already lying about this, OP. He just wants to do it in front of everyone you know, and with your apparent agreement to cement the lie in everyone's mind. Huge red flags. Am I reading this sentence correctly? He is saying it shouldn't matter to you if you both bought it, but it's okay for it to matter to him, so much that he's going to announce it to both your families and your wider social circle at the wedding. Woo, the hypocrisy. In my opinion, this is a hill worth dying on. Yes, on the surface level, it's just words in a speech. But the deeper issue is that he does not value your massive contribution to your shared life, and he wants to paint a false picture to your shared friends and family, denying it. He's basically setting you up to be painted as a gold digger, when he's the one benefiting from your scrimping and saving. I have a hard time believing this is the only instance of this level of disrespect in your relationship. And if you ever have kids, I'm certain you can look forward to him moaning to all your friends and family that he does so much work as a father. Read, changed one diaper, while you actually shoulder the majority of childcare. If you don't have kids, I imagine it will be something else like that. I really hope I'm wrong and this is just temporary brainworms on his part, but either way, not the a-hole. Don't cave in. Let him run the silent treatment. Also, rethink about marrying this guy. He's behaving like a child, not the a-hole. I am currently no contact with my mom. She told me that she hates my wife more than she loves me and doesn't see how we can continue our relationship. There was really no coming back from that with me, so we just don't talk. I've been trying to improve my relationship with my dad ever since cutting out my mom. We get along pretty well, but my dad tells my mom everything. I really don't understand why. They've been divorced for a while. They didn't even get along when they were married, but now they gossip and talk crap all the time. Recently, my wife and I spent some time with my dad. My wife just had a baby and is feeling very insecure. She had an irrational moment and was crying to me about how my stepmom is a bee for walking around in tiny bikinis right in front of her. Now, I get that my stepmom can wear whatever she wants, but the conversation was just for us, though my dad's wife ended up overhearing and it caused a bunch of drama. Well, my dad called my mom and told her everything. I only found this out because I'm still in contact with some of my mom's family, and she was laughing about it at a family event and mocking my wife. I was furious and went to confront my dad. He happened to be standing outside talking to some of his friends, but I didn't care. I went up to him and demanded to know why he gossips with his ex like a teenage girl. My dad got defensive and said he can talk to whoever he wants to. I said it is more than that. We were on a trip and he is literally calling her to report back. My dad said just because they don't work as a couple doesn't mean she can't be his friend. And to be honest, they both like to talk crap, and they were just trading stories. It had nothing to do with my wife or I. I said fine, maybe he is a bigger man than me, because I couldn't be friends with the woman who ducked my brother and one of my friends. And then I walked away. My dad stormed in the house irate and said how dare I humiliate him in his house when he is treating us to a vacation. He said I make it sound worse than it was on purpose. And yeah, she did that, but he had other women as well, and I just made him look like a cuckold. He is currently not talking to me and his wife called us entitled trash. Everybody in this story is toxic AF, except the little baby who can't talk yet. Everyone sucks here. Everyone sucks here. Come on, man, really? You know your dad shares everything with your mom and you chose not to adjust? You get mad at him for crap talking when y'all were literally crapping on his wife's body? You want him to be better, but what about your part in this? Yes, they suck for making fun of your wife, but it's really hard for me to feel bad when your wife is making fun of them first. Everyone sucks here. You're all petty, crappy people. Your mom sucks for what she said about you and your wife. Your wife sucks for being so insecure she has a meltdown about what other people are wearing. Your stepmom sucks for what seems like knowingly attempting to induce said meltdown. Your dad sucks for gossiping your drama. Your mom sucks again for mocking you about it. You're crappy for bringing up completely unrelated BS to be petty. Frankly, y'all deserve each other. Go on, Maury. Kinda the a-hole. Sounds like your wife is so bad, your nuclear parents were able to overcome their differences and unite over a shared mutual disdain. I realize you are probably still wearing love blinders, been there, done that, for your wife, but for her to be upset about another woman wearing a bikini in front of her says quite a bit about her. Your dad confided in what he sees as a friend. Your mom is the one who spread it like wildfire. Tread lightly before you're an orphan. My 25 female, boyfriends, 23 female, ex, 25 female, loves criticizing my body. One of the things she can't get over is that he downgraded from her to me, physically speaking, which honestly I don't get, because while our faces and skin tones are totally different, we have a very similar build. The difference is I like to work out and she doesn't, so I look muscular. Still, she constantly attacks my body to anybody who will listen, and while it doesn't get to me, it's annoying to him and my mutual friends and acquaintances. She has almost become friendless due to this. As things started reopening and I moved houses, I found a new workout studio that I loved, and I started going there and have been for about 6 months. Guess who went in there 2 days ago for a tryout class? Yes, the ex, along with a friend, cousin, I don't know. During the class, she was struggling and ended up passing out halfway through the class. We helped her out, and when we finished, she was outside laying down. When her friend got out, they proceeded to openly criticize the place and put me as an example of not wanting to be built like a linebacker by doing this type of exercise. To which I snapped and told her to look at herself in the mirror before criticizing me, and that in any case we were both built like linebackers, but that her, unlike me, can't back it up with her fitness level. I added that she's a grown woman and that she's acting like a bratty child, and she should consider getting a hobby that took her time so she finds another productive thing to do besides criticize me and be salty about a relationship that has been going strong for more than 2 years. She proceeded to cry and storm out of the place. I thought that was the end of it, and my coach, friends, and family were on my side, saying she had it coming. But my boyfriend is beyond pissed, saying I ruined his image of being the bigger person and that I body shamed her and should know better since I recovered from an ED. It's been 2 days and my boyfriend won't talk to me unless I apologize, but I don't want to. I guess I'm just looking for validation. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? I would say not the a-hole. You've been putting up with her crap for years and finally snapped. Maybe you didn't confront her in the best possible way, but you've been the bigger person for years to someone who can't seem to get over the fact that her ex is, and has been, dating someone else. Let me tell you, I'm in a workout class that I also love, but it's hard. You can't fault her for passing out, but she seemed to put that fault on you. Again, attacking you for her not being able to handle it. This time for being better at something than her, it sounds like. Long story short, I personally can't blame you for finally snapping. I would too. And no matter what anyone says, everyone has their breaking point. Not the a-hole. P.S. Why hasn't your boyfriend ever confronted her about her constantly talking crap about you? Jesus, not the a-hole. Why is the ex so present in your life though? And what the duck is up with your boyfriend? He's sheepishly quiet whenever you're getting bashed, but the one time you're just done with someone that sounds unsufferable, he's all pissy because you ruined his image. For duck's sake. He doesn't give a single care about all the verbal abuse and mistreatment you had to endure. It's all about his image. And now he's giving you the silent treatment like a brat? I think he needs a reality check. Not the a-hole, but why is she still in the picture? How are you able to know what she says about you prior to your class? If boyfriend is in contact with her, it's time to burn that bridge. If your friends are telling you this, it may be time to tell them to no longer include you on the crap talking. Let her be miserable in her own world. We have a lot of mutual friends that she drove away slowly from only talking about me and my boyfriend. She also blasts me on social media and keeps creating new accounts to harass me. I keep blocking, but she keeps popping up. Edit. I read all your comments and I am seeing a lot of red flags in my relationship that I hadn't noticed before. It's hard because my boyfriend has the reputation of being liked by everyone and being a super good guy. I sent him a message saying that I want to talk to him tomorrow about the future of this relationship and his relationship with her, which was enough to make him go from the silent treatment he was giving me to panicking because I may leave. I also didn't apologize to the ex. I may have been an a-hole, but honestly, at the end of the day, she had it coming in a way. And this is a direct consequence of my boyfriend not putting an end to this. It's his ex, not mine.